The sun was setting over Nairobi, laying a golden blanket over the streets. Matatas hooted, hawkers called out, and the air carried the scent of roasted maize and engine smoke. Amid the noise and hurry of the city, there was a small wooden stall, its shelves lined with jars of colourful sweets. Behind it stood Akinyi, a woman whose smile carried warmth even the city couldn't dim.
Karibu.
2 sweets for 10 bob, happiness for free, she called, her laughter dancing through the crowd. Beside her, her little daughter Zara hummed softly, swinging her legs and munching on a leftover sweet. Across the road, her younger brother Timo scrubbed cars under the shade of a jacaranda tree. His shirt was half-tucked, his shoes worn, but his eyes were alive, just like hers. Akinyi hadn't always sold sweets. Once, she had been a student at Kisii University, studying accounting, full of dreams. But when her parents passed away, life collapsed around her. The scholarship disappeared, and with it, her chance to finish school. Nairobi became her battlefield, and her sweet stall, her last stand. Yet, every coin she earned had meaning. She still balanced her books each evening on a torn notebook, writing carefully, whispering to herself like an accountant in a boardroom only she could see. That evening, the sun was dipping behind the skyline when a black Range Rover slowed beside her stall. Its windows were tinted, its body spotless, the kind of car you only see in magazines. The driver jumped out in a hurry, phone pressed to his ear. Inside the car sat Brian Wafula, one of Kenya's youngest and most feared billionaires. He was known for his sharp mind, his strict rules, and his cold heart. But today, he looked different, tired, frustrated, almost lost. He sat flipping through a thick file, papers scattered everywhere. Akinyi watched him curiously, then smiled. "Sir," she said gently, "you look like someone who needs something sweeter than my sweets." Wafula looked up, caught off guard. "And what could you possibly give me apart from a sugar rush?" he asked. "Maybe perspective," she said, her eyes bright. He chuckled, half amused. "All right, Miss Perspective. Here, look at this. My accountants can't find where the money's going. Maybe you'll see what they can't." Akinyi hesitated, then took the file. Her hands trembled slightly as she opened it. But as she read, her world went quiet. The sounds of the street disappeared. No honking, no shouting, no wind. Just numbers. Clear, beautiful, familiar numbers. 10 minutes later, she looked up. "Sir, this supplier code was changed. The payments are being redirected. Someone's stealing from you." Wafula froze. His own top team hadn't noticed that in weeks. He studied her, disbelief softening into respect. "Who are you?" he asked quietly. She smiled. "Akinyi, the sweet seller." That night, Wafula couldn't sleep. The image of the young woman with bright eyes and sharp mind refused to leave his thoughts. By morning, he had made a decision. When Akinyi opened her stall the next day, his car was already waiting. He stepped out in a grey suit. "Miss Akinyi," he said, "you have a job interview." She blinked. "At your company?" He nodded. "At my company." A few hours later, she stood in the shining lobby of Wafula Group headquarters, wearing a borrowed dress and heels slightly too big. The employees whispered as she passed. "That's her, the girl from the street stall." When she entered his office, he smiled. "You look nervous." "Only a little," she said. "Numbers, I understand. Rich people. I'm still learning." He laughed softly. "Then you'll do just fine. You start today." From that moment, everything changed. Akinyi worked harder than anyone else in the building. She arrived before the guards unlocked the doors and left after the cleaners finished. She treated every task, no matter how small, as a chance to prove herself. Soon, her ideas began to shine. Her biggest breakthrough came when she proposed a new campaign, From Kenya, for Kenya. It was simple, heartfelt, and powerful, a program to support small local businesses through the company's supply chain. The boardroom went quiet when she presented it. Then Wafula stood and said, "Let's do it." Within months, the company's image transformed. Sales climbed. News reporters wrote about her story, the street vendor who saved a billionaire's empire. But not everyone was happy. Sheila, the company's glamorous head of PR, had long been in love with Wafula, and she saw Akinyi as a threat. Behind her smiles, jealousy grew like poison. "She's manipulating you," she told Wafula. "She wants power, not progress. Wafula ignored her, but Sheila's anger only deepened. She forged documents, hacked accounts, and planted fake evidence, all to frame Akinyi for corporate theft. One morning, police stormed the office. Cameras flashed. The whole building froze. "Akinyi Atieno," one officer said, "you are under arrest for leaking company data." Her ID badge was torn off. Her colleagues whispered, shocked and afraid. Wafula stepped forward, his voice cracking. "Akinyi, tell me this isn't true." Her eyes filled with tears. "I solved your problem once," she said softly. "But maybe some people prefer chaos." The story hit the news that night. From street vendor to corporate thief. In court, Akinyi stood tall, her spirit bruised but not broken. Behind her, Timo and Zara sat together, their hands clasped. "Dada, we believe you," Timo whispered. For the first two hearings, Wafula didn't appear. But on the third day, the doors opened, and he walked in, carrying a file. His face was pale, his eyes heavy with guilt. Timo had found hacked data proving Sheila's setup. The evidence was undeniable. The judge's gavel came down. Sheila's lies shattered. Akinyi was free. Outside the court, the sky opened in a light rain, the kind that washes pain away. A few days later, there was a knock at her door in Kariobangi. When Akinyi opened it, she saw Wafula standing there, holding a bouquet of lilies. "I came to say sorry," he said softly. "For what?" she asked. "For not believing the one person who believed in me." Behind her, little Zara peeked shyly. Akinyi sighed, then smiled faintly. "And what now, Mr. CEO?" He smiled back. "Now we start again. As partners." Months later, the city buzzed with gossip. The street vendor who married the billionaire. Their wedding was small but full of joy. Laughter, drums, dancing under the open sky. Even Timo wore a suit and tried not to cry. When they danced, Wafula whispered, "You gave me more than numbers, Akinyi. You gave me life." And she whispered back, "You gave me faith in second chances." Years passed. Akinyi no longer sold sweets, but she never forgot where she came from. One morning, she stood before a new building, Zara's Hope Foundation. Inside, single mothers and street youth were learning tailoring, accounting, and business. Timo ran a computer lab. Zari, now a young lady, organized events and told everyone, "My mama helps heroes." When a journalist asked Akinyi what inspired the foundation, she smiled softly. "Because once upon a time, I was just a woman selling sweets, and someone gave me a chance." That evening, she and Wafula walked through the city, hand in hand. They passed the Old Street corner where it all began. The stall was gone, but the memory stayed. Laughter, struggle, hope. Wafula looked around. "Do you ever miss this place?" he asked. Akinyi smiled gently. "No, because I never left it. It lives in me." The city lights shimmered like stars, and the night carried a quiet peace, the kind that comes after storms. And for the woman who once sold sweets, life had come full circle. Because sometimes, the sweetest victories grow from the bitterest struggles, and love, when it's true, never forgets where it began. Headphone, this is a story from Tales and Tastes of Africa with Marini, where African stories find their voice, their beauty, and their heart.